Okay, let's
Katie
go.
Cameron. Katie is a dear friend of mine that I actually met at AOSH 2017 scientific session. And Katie holds an associate fellowship status in the use of dental lasers through the World Clinical Laser Institute and just completed her fellowship with the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health. Woo-hoo. As a periodontal therapist, Katie is successful in her techniques of periodontal therapy and understanding the oral microbiome. In her presentation, Chemical Truth, How Endocrine Disruptors Are Creating a Chemical Warfare on Our Health, Katie will dive into what EDCs are, what their effects on us mean for our health, and how to protect ourselves and our patients. Welcome, Katie. I love seeing your face. Katie's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for this
Knowledge
opportunity.
Moms, here they come.
Here it comes. I've got a lot to say about endocrine disruptors. So I made a little video for us. Hopefully everyone finds it fun. Let me share my screen here. Can you hear it?
Hey, my name
certainly can. Thank you, Katie.
Cheyenne, Wyoming. If you've ever driven through Cheyenne or stopped there for any reason, you probably noticed two things: the distinct odor billowing from the refinery and the wind. It's super windy there. Growing up, my mother smoked. I was fed soy formula from a plastic bottle. We used Tide laundry soap and Crest toothpaste. Our water was fluoridated, and my parents both had mouths full of amalgam fillings. A pretty average family in the 70s and 80s. All of these things are endocrine disruptors and have affected everyone's health in my family. My mother endured the greatest impact of endocrine disrupting chemicals. She lived a short life full of sugar, toxins, and shoeboxes full of endocrine disrupting and addictive pharmaceuticals. In her 20s, her body gave way to the autoimmune disorder MS. She was officially diagnosed in her mid-30s and died at 48. At the time, the only healthcare my family knew was the kind you get from the doctor who's really good at writing prescriptions, and the newfound wave claiming saturated fat was bad and vegetable oils were going to save us all. While docs did tell her to quit smoking, no one ever talked to her about her diet, gut health, stress, the lotions and potions we're exposed to, the heavy metals in her mouth and consequently in her body, as well as the increasingly huge amount of plastics around us or her body's inability to balance the enormous toxic burden she was carrying. Unfortunately, her experience isn't unique, and thankfully, I don't have to live like her. Sharing about endocrine disrupting chemicals is without a doubt a passion of mine, and I hope you all can take some pearls with you. You see, we are completely surrounded by thousands of endocrine disrupting chemicals. I'll call them EDCs. No matter where we live, these toxins are ubiquitous and unavoidable. Our world is so deeply embedded with these chemicals, it makes us blind to their existence and damaging effects. What we eat and what we put on our skin or what's around us either signals our body to fight disease or promote it. Let's get clearer and more specific. First, our endocrine system is hugely important. It regulates all biological processes in the body from conception through old age, including the development of the brain and nervous system, the growth and function of the reproductive system, as well as the metabolism and blood sugar levels. The endocrine system includes the organs, the hormones, and the receptors that are designed to help the body communicate from a biochemical standpoint. This system is one of three communication pathways in the body. The nervous system, think electricity, endocrine system, mail delivery, where the hormones are like letters and receptors are the mailboxes, and the acupuncture system, wireless internet. EDCs can come from naturally occurring toxins. They're produced by living organisms like fungi, bacteria, parasites, mold, plants, like soy, flax seeds, and lavender, also insects. As always, they exist in nature, which means we developed and were born with organ systems designed to help filter and eliminate these toxins that enter our body. A ton of EDCs come from environmental toxins also. They are manufactured and extracted chemicals such as pesticides, cleaning agents, health and beauty products, preservatives and flame retardants, industrial pollutants or byproducts, petrochemical fuels and solvents, plastics, cookware, and so much more. These toxins are super sneaky. When they flood the body, they pretend to act like hormones, mimicking them or inhibiting the actual hormones from doing their job. There's no denying it. Toxic chemicals are in us. The Environmental Working Group, EWG, tells us there are 91 toxic chemicals in the average person's blood and urine. In babies, newborn umbilical cord blood has been found to have more than 200 different toxic chemicals in it. Super sad. Our most vulnerable and critical developmental stages are centered around fertility, pregnancy, and early infancy and childhood. This is where the timing of exposure is so important because the rapidly dividing cells and development needed to form a healthy baby are happening, and where so much of the brain wiring is occurring. Because we are constantly exposed to EDCs, the effects against developing sperm and eggs can be seen through infertility and or modifications in our genome, commonly referred to as genetic mutations. After conception, the intrauterine environment is highly susceptible to environmental impacts due to the permeability of the placental barrier and the lowered immune function of the pregnant mom. Fetuses and embryos whose growth and development are highly controlled by the endocrine system are more vulnerable to exposure and may suffer lifelong health or reproductive abnormalities. Following birth, a mother's milk is another source of EDCs. They are fat-loving and get stored in the body, then excreted in the milk. And breast milk is primarily fat. If formula feeding is your jam, the baby bottle, the formula itself, as well as the container it's packaged in, are likely full of EDCs. Our capacity to store toxins as our bodies work to excrete them can be different for everyone. Factors that contribute to our toxic load capacity include age, gender, epigenetics, and ethnicity. Our ability to process and excrete these invaders is partially determined by these factors and furthermore by external influences including stress, trauma, illness, and cumulative exposure. When we are exposed to more than we can eliminate, the load becomes a burden. The body will attempt to balance by becoming inflamed. And what is inflammation? It's how our body defends and protects us. We can't blame the inflammation. The constant exposures to toxic chemicals and an increase in burden, the inflammation becomes chronic, affecting our systemic health. And of course, this presents differently in every person because of those internal factors I just mentioned. Human variability is the least studied and least understood factor. Let's talk about toxic susceptibility and detoxification. Our liver, the major organ responsible for detoxification, which is split up into 3 phases. To simplify, phase 1, you process toxins. Phase 2, further break them down, making the toxins more water soluble. Phase 3, elimination. After phase 1, the byproducts can be more toxic than the initial toxin. If phase 2 isn't functioning properly due to the nutritional deficiencies, mutated genes, or disease, the more toxic byproducts from phase 1 stick around and cause even more damage. Also, a nutrient-deficient diet and one that's pro-inflammatory, full of chemicals and omega-6 fatty acids increases the toxic effects of EDCs. I have to talk about genetics for a minute. As with other body processes and disease progressions, genetic makeup can impact your body's ability to detox. It gets interesting because the presence of EDCs affects the modification or mutation of genetic expression and the change in genetic expression, which can be transgenerational. It also affects the ability to properly detox chemicals. A great example is the gene mutation MTHFR, which is critical for the conversion of folic acid to the active form methylfolate. DNA methylation is so important because it regulates and optimizes gene expression for both basic and complex functions, including the production of DNA, metabolism of the hormones, and proper detoxification. If we can't detox chemicals, heavy metals, and free radicals that cause oxidative stress, those compounds aren't leaving our system. Instead, they set up shop to wreak havoc on our body, which then leads to illness and autoimmune disorders, just like my mom. The most vulnerable stages of development, pregnancy, fetal development, childhood, and also sickness, are when methylation needs are highest and when it's most important to reduce toxic exposure. Another variable to humans is our gut health. As they say, we are only as healthy as our gut. It's known that EDCs, like chemical fertilizers, plastics, air pollution, heavy metals, and other toxins, negatively impact the balance in our gut microbiome. Gut bugs are needed to digest and metabolize nutrients as well as chemicals. If we have an imbalance of bacteria, it can contribute to the toxic burden in our system. Research has even shown that using probiotics can decrease pesticide accumulation and reduce some heavy metals in vulnerable groups of people, just like pregnant women and children. That's my little 1-2 on the physiological aspects of EDCs. Let's talk water quick. Most of the major EDCs are found in our water due to environmental toxicity. They're there, but you can't see them. So I can't help but mention a few key points about how sick our water is. Water is essential to life, and we are made up mostly of water. Only 2.5% of the world's water is considered fresh. Whoa. In the US, 3 out of 4 homes have tap water exceeding state limits of pollutants. I want to take you through a list of some of the worst EDCs. There are thousands, but here are some big hitters and ways we see them pop up in dentistry too. They're all present in our water, and most are carcinogenic. There's a lot to say about these EDCs, so I'll try to touch on the highlights, but follow along. First, plastics. We cannot escape them. Phthalates are even called the everywhere chemical. They're like glitter in that they get all over everything and can't get rid of them. Phthalates are the most common chemical. We can find them in almost all plastics, water, cosmetics, fragrances, food containers, kids' toys, dental night guards, all BPA-free items, and lots more. They increase testicular cell death, decrease sperm count, and have other negative reproductive effects, contribute to obesity, diabetes, and thyroid problems. Avoid plastics and choose phthalate-free. Next up are BPA and BPS, found in BPA-free products. 93% of Americans have BP in their bodies. Yuck. BPA imitates estrogen, and BPS imitates BPA, so it imitates estrogen too. They are found in our water, plastics, PVC, the receipt paper coating. They line canned foods and baby formula containers, food containers, and water bottles. They are in over 86% of composite fillings and sealant materials. You can even find BPA and phthalates in masks of CPAP machines. They're associated with a list of fertility problems, obesity, early puberty, heart disease, breast, and other cancers. Avoid touching receipts. Sounds silly, but they are so toxic. Don't touch them, especially after using hand sanitizer, which causes more absorption of the BPA. Crazy. Don't buy food in cans, even if labeled BPA-free. Avoid plastics altogether and reconsider dental sealants and composite fillings. In dentistry, plastics are a given and impossible to avoid since the industry is so heavily dependent on them. Try being mindful of plastic barriers and other one-time use products. Next up are dioxins. Dioxins are one of the most toxic chemicals that exists. They are created in bleaching processes and used in water treatments. You can find them in water, soil, dairy, meat, eggs, and fish. They are also in feminine hygiene products as a result of the bleaching of the cotton. Dioxins hang out in cigarettes too. If you are still using Crest, Colgate, or any other conventional toothpaste, mouthwash, or products, it's time for an update. They are full of GMOs and laden with endocrine-disrupting food coloring, synthetic flavorings, sugars, plastics, parabens, and lots of other junk. Sodium lauryl sulfate is found in so many toothpaste and shampoos. It's also used as an engine degreaser and can be highly contaminated with dioxins. Thankfully, the antimicrobial triclosan has been banned from soaps and most toothpaste. It too is a dioxin. They last a long time, build up in the body, cause cancer, can cause permanent damage to reproductive health if exposed early in life or in utero, damages the immune system and endocrine system. Dioxins are unavoidable in the environment, but we can limit exposure by purchasing organic tampons and pads, unbleached paper goods, and organic food. Also, look for health and beauty companies who do chemical testing and say no to toxins. Herbicides, atrazine and organophosphates. Atrazine is the largest selling product of the largest chemical company in the world. It's an herbicide used on most corn crops, sugarcane, residential lawns, and found in our water. Organophosphate pesticides were originally created for chemical warfare by the Nazis as a neurotoxin. Glyphosate is a mild form, and 95% of glyphosate is used on cotton, one of the dirtiest crops. Atrazine has been widely studied and found to cause complete feminization with viable eggs in frogs. They cause breast tumors, prostate cancer, and other cancers, mess up testosterone and thyroid hormones. Buy organic food, filter your water, and purify the air. Heavy metals. They're in our air, water, and food due to industrial contamination. They're also found in a lot of personal care products. Lead is found in dust, cookware, glasses, and paint. Mercury is, of course, the main substance in amalgam fillings, also found in light bulbs, fish, vaccines, appliances, sporting equipment, and more. The American Dental Association says 30 to 35% of fillings currently placed are amalgams. And it's true. Amalgam fillings continually release mercury vapor. Arsenic is dense in rice and rice products. Aluminum contaminates deodorant, cosmetics, food additives, and medicines. Nickel is found everywhere too, from jewelry to cell phones, dental appliances to hairpins and lipstick holders and kitchen utensils. Heavy metals are extremely toxic to children and immune-compromised people and cross the placental and blood-brain barriers. Heavy metals accumulate in the body, which is part of why they are so toxic. They are a major hormone disruptor, neurotoxin, lower the immune system, damage the DNA, and cause cancer. Filter your water, keep a clean house, be a smart consumer, and do your research to find companies who do extensive heavy metal testing. Eat organic and watch your rice consumption. Fluoride in the water. Yep, I'm going there. As of 2014, 63% of the US has added fluoride to the water. In America, it gets so dogmatic and we think we know so much more than other countries. China, Japan, India, and 98% of Europe have all banned fluoride because of health, ethical, and ecological concerns. Fluoride is naturally occurring, yes, but the fluoride in the water is synthetic from waste products of the fertilizer and refining industries. Fluoride is a neurotoxin, disrupts thyroid hormones, calcifies the pineal gland responsible for secreting melatonin, a potent antioxidant and sleep regulator. It decreases IQ in children with early exposure also. Find a water filter specific for removing fluoride. I have saved one of the best for last. Perfluorinated chemicals, I'll call them PFAS for short, and fire retardants. These are the forever chemicals because they are non-biodegradable and never break down, ever. 99% of Americans have them in their bodies. Oofta. Glide floss and other floss, barrier membranes and implant dentistry, as well as takeout containers inside of to-go coffee cups, denture cleaners, shampoo, and lots more. Oh, and PFAS are definitely in our water. Avoid all products that are non-stick, slick, water repellent, stain resistant, and to-go containers of any kind. Switch to safer beauty products and safer cookware. Dentists can use platelet-rich fibrin instead of the customary Teflon-like barrier in implant and bone grafting placement. The Environmental Protection Agency and the Food and Drug Administration, run by the federal government, are tainted by legalities, organizational hangups, and political messes. They have loose regulations and don't update their chemical standards often, allowing for toxins to be grandfathered in instead of re-regulated and misreporting of major contaminants. The last update was in 2018, but before that, they hadn't updated chemical regulations since the 70s. Tap water standards haven't been set up in almost 20 years, and some standards for tap water are more than 40 years old. The government puts very little into researching and regulating toxins. Any new chemical gets only 90 days for any testing to be completed. Only 90 days. The average beauty product has anywhere from 15 to 50 plus ingredients, skyrocketing our exposure to over 500 chemicals a day from health and beauty products alone. Phthalates are used in fragrance, and there are over 3,000 chemicals found under the umbrella of fragrance. So if a product lists fragrance as an ingredient, they can use as many of these chemicals without ever disclosing any of them. The chemical burden hits us over and over again. Legal definitely doesn't mean safe. We are so fooled with the perception there is an authority of organization that is taking care of us. There isn't really, so we can do a lot by ourselves. If you found this chat to be overwhelming and you feel like literally everything in our modernized world is toxic, well, basically it is. Let's walk through ways to support our system, detoxing, and safer alternatives. Above all, filter your water. My favorites are the Berkey water filters, which removes 99.5% of toxins in some of the RO systems, but don't forget to remineralize your water. Eliminate as many toxins as you can, plastics, even BPA-free ones, buy safer beauty products and cleaning solutions. Eat local and organic as much as possible. Drink from glass or stainless steel. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Identify your genetic SNPs. And a few other fun favorites are exercise, hot cold showers, dry brushing, infrared sauna, red light therapy, safe amalgam removal, liver support through our diet, and a beloved colonic. In fact, I could not leave out, if you're a coffee drinker and you live for the caffeine, the to-go coffee cups are lined with BPA and PFAS, the forever chemical. And as if that's not bad enough, the caffeine draws out 20% more of the chemicals than decaf coffee. Yikes, and a big no thank you. Every time we shop, we are voting with our dollars. When you buy a local farmer's organic produce or a rancher's pastured meat, you're supporting your local economy, the environment, and your health. That's a vote in the right direction. Choosing safer products can definitely be challenging, and we need to become label readers and our own health advocates. Greenwashing tricks us into thinking we are purchasing something better for our health and the environment. What if it's marketing evil to get us to buy the same toxic crap with a different label? The cosmetic industry is mostly self-regulated, and the last time Congress voted to regulate cosmetics was 1938. That was over 80 years ago. Now, there are companies fighting against this and bringing awareness to the endocrine disrupting, cancer-causing chemicals found in all the lotions and potions. Seek those out and make your vote count. The EWG is a great source. They're an independent nonprofit group advocating for the protection of the environment and the people. Check out their databases online too. It is overwhelming, but one item, one meal, one day at a time. Replace something as you run out. Small changes add up and make a big impact. Do it for you, do it for your family, and do it for the environment. Slow the flow, not out of fear or restriction, but because we deserve to live with less pain and discomfort and with more freedom on this beautiful planet.
Wow. All right. Well, Katie, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
A lot of people asked, they want to get a copy of that video. Well, it will live on our Facebook page, so people can watch this presentation again and again and share it with others as well. So thank you once again. Oofta. That was awesome.
Oofta.
And I got to get rid of this. So
Yeah.
goodbye.
Throw it away.
I got to get the coffee mug in here. Okay.
I knew you were going to wow everybody.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
Thanks, Katie. We're going to go on, continue. Yep, that's for you.
Thank you, Katie.
Love you.